Greetings and welcome to another impressions video here at Words About Games, and today we're going to be looking at Dauntless. Dauntless is a free-to-play multiplayer focused action RPG that puts players into the role of a slayer, a hunter who specialises in killing huge behemoths that threaten the land for one reason or another. The why of it isn't really all that clear or necessarily important. What's important is beating monsters up to craft swanky new threads for your character. And so we have yet another impressions video, which was delayed because I was too busy actually playing the game to sit down and write a review of it, constantly dipping back in just to make sure I had enough of a grip on the game to write up some comprehensive impressions, which, spoiler alert, I did many hours ago. Speed and Fury are the names of the game as far as Dauntless is concerned, whether from a gameplay standpoint or a progression one. Everything about the game is designed to be fast, furious, and constantly rewarding. It's simple enough for the casual player, yet deep enough to keep you on the hook for hours, constantly setting out to battle behemoths in search of the loot and experience you need to upgrade your character and take on even bigger foes and challenges. Let's start with the combat itself, which is the bread and butter of the Dauntless experience. Taking on a hunt throws a group of up to 4 players, or solo if you prefer, against one of the game's behemoths in what is essentially a boss rush game. Core combat is fairly fast-paced, centered around choosing a weapon to fit a particular playstyle and learning the different attack patterns and phases of each boss. While combat isn't on the technical level of a Dark Souls, for example, Dauntless isn't quite a button masher. Learning enemy tells and how your chosen weapon functions is the difference between having a successful brawl and getting swatted across the map by a huge beast. There are 6 different weapons you can choose from, ranging from the basic but dependable sword to repeaters, pikes, axes, hammers, and dual blades. Each has their own playstyle, strengths and weaknesses, and how you prefer to play will probably dictate which you favour. All of the weapons feel solid though, and the game encourages experimentation via quests and challenges. To Dauntless's credit, I've used and enjoyed all of the weapons it has to offer. While the combat is satisfying, Dauntless doesn't do quite enough to teach new players all of the tools at their disposal. Rather than run players through all of its mechanics in-game, the onus is on the player to troll through menus to figure out what everything does. The end result being that there were gameplay mechanics I had no idea about 15 hours into playing. It's annoying to suddenly find that I can hold RB to grant teammates buffs because I happened to glance at an item description while doing something else, for example. The variety of the enemies you'll fight is okay. You'll be constantly fighting the same behemoths over again, but the dynamism of their movesets and Dauntless's focus on learning tells means that you can fight an enemy multiple times in a row without feeling like things are getting too repetitive. Each of the monsters has an array of moves that they'll throw at you, or secondary mechanics to worry about, like shards of lightning that need to be destroyed to avoid having orbs of electricity constantly stun you, for example. Plus battles only last between 5 to 15 minutes, rarely overstaying their welcome. And Dauntless isn't shy at all about giving you reasons to keep hurling yourself back into battle again and again, thanks to a robust progression and crafting system and a huge amount of quests to complete. Within an hour or so of starting the game, my quest log was overflowing with tasks, and I had a ton of new items to craft. This is the other side of the Dauntless coin. The stuff. While the gameplay is solid, it lives in service of keeping you on the loot treadmill. While the dynamic nature of fights keeps things from getting too stale, going out and hunting Emberin 3 times in a row is all about breaking the monster apart for crafting materials, which let you upgrade your weapons and armour to face even bigger challenges. There's an almost overwhelming amount of things to keep track of in Ramsgate, so much so that it took me many hours to wrap my head around what I even needed to do to keep improving my character. Dauntless does a decent job of signposting everything thanks to its deluge of quests related to making sure you touch on every aspect of its metagame, which is coupled with an initially speedy pace for unlocking upgrades, but it can still feel like a bit much is thrown at you too quickly. Weapons, armour, lanterns and grenades can all be crafted from monster parts or patrol rewards, all of which increase your character's power and abilities on the battlefield. Cells can be found and equipped in gear to grant passive buffs. Quests grant you with a variety of rewards that encourage you to experiment with all sorts of different ways to play. The Hunt Pass unlocks currencies and cosmetics with weekly challenges, and there are long-term mastery goals that grant you rewards for using weapons, armour, or fighting specific monsters, and more. And all of this isn't even everything you'll have to do outside of just fighting monsters. It's a lot, is what I'm driving at. As I said, Dauntless is very good at keeping you busy, and while there's a lot to keep track of, it's not overly complicated, and the game does a great job of allowing you to focus on 1 or 2 objectives at a time, which helps you keep playing long after you've decided to go to sleep. Not so much just one more turn, as just one more hunt. It won't be for everyone. While fights feel dynamic, there aren't a huge amount of different monsters in the game, and there are no smaller creatures or expansive environments to explore. There are also a few egregious free-to-play features in the game, such as timers for fusing cells together, that can be annoyingly off-putting. There are also bugs and performance issues, but to Phoenix Labs' credit, they've already patched out a few of the problems I was having between picking the game up and writing this script, aside from some minor framerate hiccups and the rare crash. In the end, Dauntless is a game that has consumed my free time. After getting over the hump of figuring out its systems and mechanics, which took me an hour or two, it's become a game I'm constantly returning to. I'm really enjoying the loop of fighting monsters, crafting new gear, and unlocking new cosmetics, and at least for the first 20 hours, it feels like I'm being almost constantly rewarded in some way or another for my time. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please leave us a comment, like, or subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've got tons of awesome videos coming every week, including review impressions, indie game of the week, debate-driven top 5 lists, video essays, and our weekly podcast where we discuss games, gaming culture, and the games industry. We also stream 3 times a week at twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. But most importantly, have a fantastic day.